Hey guys, it's spooky time. I was trying to be cool by like blowing out a candle, but I'm here trying to, set a candle, set the mood for the video. And then I realized there's something called contrast settings, and I don't know where this has been all of my filming history. But anyways, welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi, my name's Alyssa. And if you are not new, my name is still Alyssa. I haven't been super risky recently with like my filming times and stuff like that, but it seems like I have a little bit of an edge for it this week. I'm in the midst of finals and I haven't quite gotten there yet. Like I haven't quite comprehended the fact that I'm in my 4th year already. It's crazy. Well, finishing the 4th year. So, yeah, you can imagine how, yeah. Anyways, a few days ago, I was thinking about one of my favorite urban legends, something that was debunked a while ago, but I had originally learned about this from a show called River Monsters, and my partner and I both used to watch that show. And recently we watched it together and I thought about one of my favorite episodes from that show, and it like was kind of based on it's called River Monsters, so you can look it up if you want to watch it, but it's pretty much based on finding what creature could have been the Lochness Monster. And I particularly have just been fascinated with that urban legend. Growing up, this probably won't come as a surprise because of my interest as an adult, but I grew up loving Scooby-Doo, and there was an episode where they were being haunted by the Loch Ness Monster. I don't think it was real, but besides the point, I do have a very wide imagination and I'm still interested in it. So from that, I started thinking, why don't I film a video that it's like Loch Ness Monster themed. So as I usually do when I'm in not really a rush to make a video, but when I have a thought about something, I like to kind of just like act on it, because typically with YouTube videos I will just make like a list of different, I'm getting over a cold right now, so just ignore the whatever the fuck is going on. I was gonna say constipation, but I don't think that's what it's called. I'm congested, that's the right word. I did not look at the internet to find that definition. Anyways, yeah, it took me a minute to decide how exactly I wanted to go in that direction, what exactly I wanted to do for the video. Ideally, in the past, I did make a few like urban legend videos, like just talking specifically about like different ones, not going into detail about one particular one. I might do that in the future because I am very interested in this urban legend. There's a few other ones that I'm interested in. The last one I did on the Wendigo, I wanted to do one that was more like specific and based off of facts, but I decided to go in the no sleep direction just because I really love to see writers' interpretations. Why does that sound wrong? I really like to see how writers interpret different urban legends. I myself really like writing too, but I've never done that. I've never written about an urban legend. So anyways, I feel like this intro is getting very long, so I'm gonna get into the story, and it was called I Went to Loch Ness to Find the Fabled Monster, and I Found Something Far Worse. As my usual spiel goes, if you guys like the video, make sure to like the video. And it won't hurt you to subscribe either if you want to. You don't have to. But if you do like this video, I encourage you to subscribe because I'd like to try to expand my audience a little bit more. I'm also thinking about making a podcast, potentially more than one. Never know. I don't know how frequent it'll be because my YouTube channel is pretty infrequent already as it is. But I do like having the option to share content with people who appreciate it the way that I appreciate other people's content. So yeah, if you are interested in something like that, like I said, make sure to subscribe. Stay tuned for future other kind of vessels of content. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, make sure to stay till the end. I'm blind, don't hate me for it. I arrived on the shores of Lochness, which casts itself in the vibrant Scottish countryside like an ancient shadow. The water was black and impenetrable, stretching for miles in either direction. Silence hung low across the loch, and birds seemed to avoid the area, though I could have been imagining that. I came here with the burning question: are monsters real? Has something truly stalked these waters for 1,000 years, or have 1,000 and more witnesses across the centuries been mad? I had waited for a long time to be here, and with that, I chose to rent and take a small fishing boat to the center of the loch, where I would stay until I decided otherwise. The first day out on the loch was cold, and there was a chance of showers that night. The winds were chilly but mild, and out there I felt completely removed from what was my life. The air was fresh, holding a smell unique to lakes and rivers, despite the overcast. There was a sense of tranquility and perpetuity my god, that hadn't existed in my home. I saw the ruins of Urquhart. Okay. If you're Scottish, I'm so sorry. I'm trying. I saw the ruins of Urquhart Castle for the first time on the distant shore as well, crumbling some more each year like a fading memory. I was aware of this castle before arriving, and I was unimpressed with it from where I stood while the waves cradled the boat back and forth with a sense of care. I snapped some photos of the castle with my phone and took some more down the never-ending green shoreline, more for curious relatives back home than for myself. The winds began to pick up as the sun set, as though they were free to do as they wish when I wasn't looking. I shut myself in my cabin and read The Count of Monte Cristo until I fell asleep. Nothing would happen that night or the following day, though morning would bring unrelenting rain. It must have been about 10 at night, and the wind seemed to be screaming at the porthole to be let inside. The rain was moving horizontally instead of vertically, but there was no lightning or any indication of any real danger. I turned off the light in my cabin and was heading to my bunk when I noticed a flicker off in the distance. There are houses around the loch, but this wasn't coming from one of the houses. I grabbed my binoculars to take a closer look and saw it coming from the upper level of the medieval ruins on the shore. I recall seeing the woman as well. I saw her standing on the edge of the loch in a white gown that draped down past her knees, with matted dark hair running down her front and something hanging from her clenched fists. She was facing the direction of my boat, but I couldn't tell you why at that moment. Making out any details was difficult from where I stood. I called the local authorities and decided to let them deal with it. I also reported the light I saw at the castle, thinking it was no longer my problem, and I went to sleep. At some point in the night, I was violently thrown off my bed and crashed onto the floor, along with food, books, the radio, and other belongings. I had thought for certain that the boat had drifted into rocks or that I'd hit a cliff, until, again, the boat was battered. This time, I was launched back towards my bunk from the opposite direction along with everything else that wasn't secured, and a thick fishing net seemed to come out of nowhere and wrap itself around me, as though an unseen and monstrous spider had caught me in its web. I rolled myself across the floor in a panic before becoming completely paralyzed by the net. The sweat accumulated down my neck while each breath became harder to take. Seconds turned into minutes and nothing more happened. The boat had settled on the water now, and in the darkness my mind was racing when a feeling began to rise up in me that I was not alone. The rope cut deeper into my limbs, and I felt myself beginning to cry. Through wet, burning eyes, I looked around the cabin, where only streams of moonlight came in from the various portholes. Except one stream was missing. I did not want to look up, but this is what I came for. Only my adventurous curiosity was completely gone now. I raised my head as best I could against a constricting rope and looked at the blocked porthole at the opposite corner of the boat. There was an enormous eye burning into me. It conveyed loathing and fury, as if I had intruded into a lion's den. It was also 6 to 8 feet above the surface of the water. At that point, I knew I was going to die. My bones would rest at the bottom of the ancient body of water, and my casket would be buried without my remaining body back home. I thought of my small dog that would be waiting faithfully for my return. Even then, the tears were dripping off my face, and the sobbing coming from me must have sounded subhuman. The Leviathan screamed into the night, and in a blur was gone, leaving behind a paralyzing silence. I trashed and jerked every part of me that I could. I was in a primal, desperate state when I began to hear low humming. I stopped moving and strained to listen. This wasn't the sound of rain on water or metal or glass. It was a melodic humming, coming closer to the boat. There was no sound of engines or splashing. As I got closer, I heard a feminine, almost celestial voice singing in a language I didn't recognize. Perhaps I should have realized that something so large could only exist undisturbed for so long if it had help. I heard the unearthly singing move to the edge of my boat, then light footsteps beyond the metal door of my cabin. I don't know how, but I began sliding toward the door, not crawling or physically moving myself, but sliding as though the net was being pulled to the door. The singing grew louder, those ancient words reverberating throughout the cabin and traveling across the hungry waves outside. As my feet touched the door first, it opened without any resistance, and the singing abruptly stopped. I only saw blackness through the doorway and heard the waves crashing against the boat. Without warning, the boat was rocked hard again, and I flew out into the waiting darkness and into the water. As I began to plummet in the blind, liquid abyss, I thought I could hear that haunting song again. Then I was gone. When I came to the next morning on the rocky shore, I sat up like lightning and looked around. There was no net, no boat in sight, no singing, and no rain. It was overcast, but not poor weather. An older, portly man was sitting on a large boulder nearby with a fishing pole in hand. "Sir, do you know how long I've been lying here on the shore?" I said. "Hell if I know, lad. I thought you were pissed drunk. You made some noises in your sleep, but you looked like the spirit of health otherwise," he said without looking away from the water. "May I ask something?" I said. Who asks a question then asks if they can ask a question? "Sorry, I'm not all here yet, but I was wondering, have you ever heard any unusual singing? Like from a foreigner? A woman specifically." He reeled in his lure and stood up to leave. "Can't say I have, lad," He turned and faced me with a wicked smile on his face. But if you hear the song, "Oh, the Loch," you're a dead man. Well, the end of that was interesting. If there is any update to the story, I am going to make a second part because I feel like this needs a second part. But as of right now, it doesn't look like there is one. I like the story though, so I hope you guys did too. And what? I hate to end the video so abruptly, but I feel like that's how a lot of these stories tend to end. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and if you didn't, then I don't know what to tell you. And yeah, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I hope you guys like the story, and I will see you in the next video.